streets. Bayonne streets are dirty and they need help. Due to a 2004 referendum, residents voted not to clean side streets. How would you address this issue? Meanwhile, parking in the city with rising population is a problem. Cyclists and pedestrians continue to deal with hazardous intersections and street design. What will you do to improve our streets?
Okay, starting with the cleanliness of our streets. In any city, that's always an issue. In Bayonne, is it an issue? Absolutely. We have done numerous cleanups throughout the city. I instituted a program 3 years ago where, starting this month, April, running all the way through November, the DPW will pick 2 blocks every week and go from curb to curb, clean the whole street, and trim every tree on that block. That actually helped us catch up with our tree trimming, because there was over 200 people on the list for tree trimming when I came into office, which now the list doesn't exist anymore. But it's also something that it has to be an education point. This is something where, as a community, we need to clean our streets. When I was a kid, my job at my house was every day to come home from school and clean the front of the house. My mother and father came home and found garbage in our curb line. I took the brunt of that. That was my job. We need to start instilling in ourselves that this is our city, this is our community. With that being said, as a city, we need to work better for it. We need to do better, okay? I am going to ask the public again one more time to start doing opposite side of the street cleaning. Because actually, to me, as far as I'm concerned, it's definitely necessary. And it has to be done. Because the way we do it, where we're taking, starting this week, you'll see 19th Street and 21st Street. From Avenue E all the way to the boulevard, will be cleaned. And then we move every week. We move and do different streets. This is what we do. Parking's always an issue because we're a city. We are partnering with some of our developers where we're putting up parking garages, and we're looking for other ways to open up parking for our city. And I know he's got his hand raised. I have to stop. I'm sorry.
So, cleanliness. We talk about bringing new residents in. I can tell you that in my entire life, I don't think the streets have been as dirty as they are. Over the last months and walking door to door and campaigning, the absolute condition of the streets is deplorable. And while I do agree with the mayor, and as it was my job and still is my job, to sweep in front of my house, we need to encourage the public to do that, to take pride in the cleanliness of our streets. But that's not enough. We have to take action, decisive action, to get that done. We can start very simple program that we're going to propose: garbage cans. They're cylindrical things. They're newfangled, but garbage cans on every corner. I spent some time in Cleveland last year, and they had garbage cans everywhere. You couldn't throw it on the street because there were too many garbage cans. With the sign, "Keep Cleveland Clean." So we have to take that initiative on as a government. Parking. We just released our parking plan, and it's not enough to say that we live in a city. God is not granting us any more land, and people are getting more and more cars. So it's fact. We have to have solutions. We have come up with some solutions in terms of changing the configuration of some streets, angle parking, painting spots like you see in other towns down the shore to maximize the parking, the space that we already have, and revisiting our ordinances to see where we can cut back on setbacks so that we can put those in. This administration's solution was to impose a parking tax to park across your driveway. Something I do every night. And I do it a lot because I get home later, but I do it to save a spot for my neighbors. That's not thinking outside the box. That's just reaching back into the taxpayer's pocket. That is not a solution. We have proposed a solution, and we're going to work with the public to get that done, because parking is a big quality of life issue here in the city of Bayonne.
Well, for me, it's all about realigning budgetary priorities. If you're going to spend all your money on the police and fire department, and you could walk down any street in Bayonne, and what you see is somebody digging a hole, and there's a policeman standing on one side of it, and there's a policeman standing on the other side of it, standing there watching. Sometimes you see them sitting under the overpasses on their cell phones. we're paying tons of overtime, we're paying tons of salaries to police and fire, and I think we're over-policed. As we've read in the Bayonne Community News, most municipalities our size, of about 60,000, have about 16 policemen for every 10,000 residents. We have 27 policemen for every 10,000 residents. We are over-policed, and as a result, under Mayor Davis, the compensation for the policemen has gone from $24 million in 2016 to $30 million in 2017. If we took some of the money that we're spending on the police and fire department and realigned the budget, we would have enough money to clean the streets. Okay? We would have enough money to put in parking lots so people could park. I don't see the town as dirty. There may be some problems with sanitation. I see sometimes the people that pick up the garbage are dropping more in the street than they're actually putting into the truck. However, I think the problem with Bayonne is that it looks run down. Okay? I don't necessarily see a lot of dirt in Bayonne. I see a city that's run down. I see Broadway. I see a lot of dilapidated structures, empty buildings that haven't been kept up. And that's what makes the town look run down, and that's what makes it appear dirty. So I think the problem is realigning our budgetary priorities, getting more money to use for other things besides the police and fire department. We'd be able to take care of our parking problem. And of course, parking has been a problem here for decades. Certainly under the Smith administration, where Mr. O'Donnell was the public safety director, it was a problem and nothing was done. And certainly nothing was done under Mr. Davis. And I don't expect any improvement unless there's some change that occurs in this town.
You know, as far as parking in front of your driveway, technically it's against the law. There's a state law against it. Being public safety director, I would imagine you would have known that. But we were looking to pass an ordinance, and I had told the council that if you put any type of monetary with that I would veto it. And in actuality, it was my first veto ever as mayor when I vetoed that bill. The $50 was because when somebody wants to apply to park in front of their house, someone from the police department has to go there to make sure, because there are some streets where it's so narrow that if there's a driveway and a driveway and somebody parks across theirs, the person across the street cannot back out and get out of his driveway. So you would have to be approved by the city. And there are a lot of driveways in the city of Bayonne, which means if everybody starts applying for it, you know, you would be sending someone out every day to handle 15, 20 of those. But I told them, you know, that's what we're gonna do if we have to do it.
Thank you, Mayor Davis.
So I was aware that it is the state law, and there's a lot of state laws we don't abide by, and you certainly know that, Mayor. You tried to have one changed. What I would say is this: it's common sense. We have a parking problem. People are parking across their driveways. People that own the homes are parking across their driveways. Yet we wanted to charge $50 to do it. Now, I don't know about the mayor's so-called veto, but what I was told and what I read and what the council president said was they're going to look at this for 6 months. They're going to do a 6-month study. For me, that's code for if we're reelected, we will enact this to do another tax on the residents of the city of Bayonne.
I think there's multiple ways to solve the parking problems in this town. I think any number of things could be implemented. I don't believe people should violate state law and park across their driveways. I mean, certainly there's a lot of businesses that park commercial vehicles all day in Bayonne. I see a lot of people fraudulently using handicap hang tags to park their vehicles all day. And I think we just gotta step up parking enforcement and provide more parking spaces for people.